you are expected to plant trees and to also encourage agriculture. And taking it down to the legal framework, our legal framework will be built on the existing laws of the Federation of Nigeria. And some of the existing laws that built on our thematic areas, with respect to petroleum, we have the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. It was a law that was passed in the 9th Assembly. That was one of their landmark legislation that was passed in the National Assembly. And one begins to ask, what is the role of this law? The role of the law is meant to regulate oil and gas, though FCT has no oil field. But irrespective of states that do not have oil fields, we have a law that is meant to regulate oil and gas. Secondly, with respect to solid minerals, we have Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act 2007, and the law was amended in 2011. And the law is to guide everything with respect to solid minerals. I am aware that our different states have their own state laws, but the state laws are also subject to the provision of the federal laws. So this is the law for solid minerals. And taking it down to environment, we have the National Environment Standard and Regulation Enforcement Agency Act 2007. So these are our legal framework in which we would align the mission and the objective of PESMDAA under the existing framework. So anything that it is not contained in this law, it is illegal and it is contravening to the provision of the law, and you are expected to advocate in that aspect. The interesting thing with respect to PESMDAA is that you could decide to pick any thematic areas with respect to the laws, either petroleum, solid minerals, environment, as it relates to your state, and you can decide to build an advocacy around it, creating awareness. These laws that I just enlisted, if you go to a remote village, let me use my state as an example, in Osho State, they will tell you that they don't know what is that. What are you talking about? So PESMDAA is supposed to take this word down to the grassroots, using the language in which the citizens understand. Then PESMDAA cannot decide to develop a guideline. So we won't be talking about legal framework again, because every legal framework has to go through the National Assembly, first reading, second reading, then public hearing, then third reading. Then when they pass third reading, it has to go through concurrence. And you know that the president has the power to decline or assent a bill, meaning that you don't have a power over a particular legislation. However, you can actually advocate on the existing legislation. So I should say that I should just build a background around that. So this takes us down to the topic of now, what are we taking? Advocacy, which is one of our key objectives, what we will be expected to do. And when we hear of advocacy, some persons do advocacy in a different light. You can choose to visit a person in an office, official setting, and call it advocacy. You can choose to have a media round where people sit down and you talk about a particular issue. It is still advocacy. You can choose to go to a concerned area. May the soul of the beloved that departed in Benue State rest in peace. For instance, you can choose to go to Benue State and decide to start advocating, going to communities, concerned communities. That is still under advocacy. So there is no fast or strong rule about it, but there is a particular rule that cuts across everything with respect to advocacy, which is you knowing what you're advocating about. What are we advocating about as PESMDAA? We need to understand that we need to speak in one voice, because PESMDAA in Cross River is the same PESMDAA in Jos. PESMDAA in Jos is the same PESMDAA in Taraba. So the question is this: our voice, we need to ask ourselves, our voice, is it the same? Are we speaking the same language? So that is one question we need to understand. And I would also like to highlight this while talking about advocacy. While you